The ancient Egyptians created statues of gods, pharaohs, and wealthy individuals in Egyptian society. Statues of gods were placed in the inner shrine of a temple. They were made of precious materials. This is a gold-plated silver figure of the god Amun-Ra. We see scenes of the ritual of the opening of the mouth performed on the mummified body to restore the senses. But in fact, this ritual was also performed on statues of gods, pharaohs, and wealthy individuals to animate the statue, to ensure that the spirit of the god or the human lived within that statue. The ancient Egyptians knew full well that a mummified body might be destroyed by tomb robbers, and so they created a statue within the tomb. The statue could serve as the vessel for the Ka, the spirit of the deceased, if the body was destroyed. Some of these statues have real character. This is Hemunu. He was a prime minister during the Old Kingdom, an extremely important man who is shown fleshy and flabby to emphasize his wealth. It's quite clear that he could afford to eat well. The images in statue form are stylized. They adhere to a convention. The ruler is shown with his left foot striding forward. His wife is shown on his left. These are two conventions in Egyptian sculpture. There is an emphasis on the family in the statuary. Kai here has his children at his feet. This is a painted limestone statue. It has inlaid eyes. And the color of the skin is significant. The males are a reddish-brown color. The female, a lighter, paler color. Limestone was preferred. It took the paint well. The ancient Egyptians also liked to carve statues out of wood. This would have originally been plastered and painted. Soft stones such as limestone, and wood too, could be carved with tools such as adzes and chisels with copper and bronze blades. So the standing statue on the left must be of one of these softer materials. The second standing statue, as well as the seated one, must be made of harder stone, such as granite or diorite, as they are being worked with hard stone hammers and rubbers. This colossal red granite statue of a pharaoh is certainly being rubbed and polished. Around 2000 BC, the ancient Egyptians started sculpting these block-like statues. They created wonderful surfaces to take inscription. Also at this time, we see images of the pharaoh with a much more realistic portrayal of the facial features. The pharaoh perhaps looks weary of the burden of kingship. More commonly, the face of the pharaoh in sculpture is rather bland and benign. This is a colossal statue of Ramesses II. It must be heavily idealized. Just this part of the statue weighs over 7 tons. One pharaoh chose to be represented in a rather different and remarkable way, the pharaoh Akhenaten. His wife, Nefertiti, in this iconic limestone and plaster bust, has one of its eyes missing. Clearly, it would have had a second inlaid eye. Another image of Nefertiti from the same sculptor's workshop is still waiting for its inlaid eyes. These unfinished heads of Nefertiti show us the guidelines of the sculptor. They show us how popular the composite statue was at this time in ancient Egyptian history. We see the mortise atop the head and beneath the neck that would be joined into the tenon of a headdress and the body of the statue. We see too that ideally even a quartzite statue would have been painted. The sculptor is finishing off this statue of a princess with a paintbrush to the face. And if we look closely, high on the scaffolding, in order to get to the top of this colossal standing red granite statue of Pharaoh, the man top left is painting the back pillar of this statue.